racing immediately. But a champion becomes a legend. McCabe Diva wins it again.
Yes, yes, yes! Wins the Everest. Glen Boss wins another big one.
Hello once again to Who's the Boss? Adam Peacock here, back with Glen Boss and Bossy. We're looking forward to another great episode today, and we're going to talk a little bit about horse racing, a little bit about life as well. And speaking of life, how is it?
Oh, mate, life is great. I don't like the alternative. Had a great week at Slipper Week and had a pretty cruisy week this week. I've been really busy, so it was nice to have a couple of chill-out days.
How was Slipper Day, mate? Did you behave yourself?
Oh, yeah, of course I did. I had to fly down to Melbourne straight after the Slipper and do some shows in the morning. But getting back to Slipper Day, it was such an epic day. The racing was first class. The crowd was good. The weather was good. The track raced really well. And the results in the Slipper, I think they were kind of the ones that people found and they were in the market. So I think a lot of people went home pretty happy.
Yeah, it was a day of good horse racing, and good horses won the good races. So it was really entertaining to watch. Via Sistina, obviously a standout, the best horse in Australia right now. You said it earlier on Who's the Boss that after that first up one where she got rolled, that she doesn't lose again. It's hard to see her getting rolled in the big Queen Elizabeth Stakes coming up in the Randwick Carnival. Yeah,
if she gets conditions to suit, which is often for her, she's just a versatile racehorse. She looked like she was doing it tough there the other day for the first sort of part of the straight up the, from the 400 to 200, you think, oh God, is she going to win? But then she asserts a dominance over the last 200 metres, and she won by two odd lengths going away. So, and it was another day for J-Mac. Nelly pulled off he went within inches of winning 4 of the 5 Group 1 races. So he just continues his dominance in Group 1s.
Bit of news about J-Mac we'll get to in a moment. Firstly, we've got to mention our good friends, firstly at IP Events, who you helped co-host the event the other day with James Bracey at Rose Hill. It went off with a bang, and we'll get to the official plug a bit later on, but it was a great day had by all. And AirTouch, so airtouch.net.au, it's the place to go to really control the temperature in your house. Literally. So AirTouch is this great system, Bossy, which it links up with your air conditioning in your house, and you can control it from anywhere on an app on your phone.
Yeah, that's the amazing part about it. It just makes life simple, I know we spoke about it often, but, you don't have to have your air conditioning running all day, losing power and costing you money. You can get in your car from wherever you are, from work or a sporting event, turn it on 15 minutes before you get home, and you walk into the house that's perfectly like the right temperature for you, whether it be you want it cold or you want it warm.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's a perfect system, and it must be said, I'm a forgetful bugger in my old age, Bossy. It's getting to that stage where things just get forgotten about. Irons get left on, toast gets left in the toaster. The washing up never gets done, so that's just me. But the air conditioning sometimes gets left on. But with AirTouch, not a problem, is it? You go, get 5 minutes down the road and go, I've got to turn this thing off.
That's correct. So, it's a great tool, useful tool. So if anyone hasn't got one, go and buy yourself an AirTouch.
Yeah, that's how I've been described sometimes, a useful tool on occasion. But airtouch.net.au, that's the place to check it out. And we thank the crew at AirTouch for their support of Who's the Boss. Bit of racing news before we get to our great guest today, Bossy, and he's a good mate of yours, so we'll leave that there and intro him shortly. But James McDonald giving up rides on Doncaster Day, one of the biggest days in Australian racing, to head overseas to ride Romantic Warrior. I look at it and go, wow, you're giving up a lot back here for one ride. However, you can see his point.
Oh, absolutely. I regard Doncaster Day as like nearly as equal as Melbourne and Cox Plate Day. It's probably the third biggest day of racing, even above the Everest, because it's just such an iconic event. It's got such great history. I call it our 5th major, and rightly so. But listen, with the Doncaster being a handicap, James's options would be quite limited. He's got to look at something at 55 or 54 and a half at best, and above. And the handicap system in the Doncaster lends itself to sort of horses with 51, 52 that are coming through the ratings. They're the horses that I used to look for, and the ones that are hard to beat, especially the 3-year-olds. And let's just put it pretty bluntly, Romantic Warrior is arguably, well, let's call him the best horse in the world at the moment. And to ride in the Dubai meeting is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and to win one of the Dubai Classic on the turf and continue that association with Romantic Warrior, it was an absolute no-brainer.
So that's what you find as a jockey. You find the best horse you've ridden. And he mentioned last week with Via Sestina, he goes, "Oh, the big boy." And I'm only presuming that he's talking about Romantic Warrior here. James McDonald has been the best he rides. That you had it with Mackaybe. So if Mackaybe's running for some unknown reason in the Darwin Cup, for instance, you might get weighted out of it. And you had a full book of 5 Group 1 rides back in Sydney, you'd still go and ride Mackaybe.
Oh, that wouldn't be necessarily the case, because it might be a Group 2 that she runs in. But we're talking about a major race in Dubai, big prize money, and as you know, he's just got this. He's got this romantic sort of with this horse. Like he's his favorite horse in the world, so he's not going to give up that ride for someone else. Like I said, he'll ride in many Doncaster meetings, but he probably won't have the opportunity to ride in a lot of Dubai World Cup meetings.
So Ryan Moore actually now comes to Australia to ride on that particular day, and he's going to ride Switzerland for the Coolmore crew. And you get the feeling that he's got the tap on the shoulder from the Coolmore boys and said, "Ryan, can you go down there and ride this very valuable colt for us?" But Ryan's an interesting character, because me being in the media, sometimes I get the feeling that Ryan would rather talk to a telegraph pole than someone with a microphone in their hand. But is he an okay dude in the jockeys room?
Oh, he's a wonderful guy. I've had the opportunity since I retired to interview him, and he's actually quite good. I mean, he doesn't like talking to the press. I mean, it's part of the whole system that he's in. They keep their cards close to their chest. He doesn't give away a lot. So in doing that, he just kind of doesn't really talk to the press. And if they ask a silly question, you get a very blunt answer from him, very straight up, answer from him. So, but away from that, he's a wonderful human being. He's got a great sense of humor. He's a cheeky bugger, and one of the world's best riders. So that's just the way he is.
Yeah, he is one of the world's best riders. He doesn't show much emotion, though, when he goes across the line. He's the anti-G Boss. So G Boss just goes up and, gives a bit of theatre for the crowd. Ryan Moore wins a Group 1. He goes across the line like he's won a maiden at Kembla. Yeah. Does he show much behind the scenes?
Oh, a little bit. He'll have when we congratulate him, he'll accept that, but he's just the ultimate professional. I mean, he flies around the world every year riding Group 1 and winners for fun. So, one day he'll be in France, next day he's in Italy, next day he's in the States, next thing he's back in Europe, next thing he's in Dubai, then Australia. This bloke they live in planes and they ride Group 1 winners all around the world.
I'll look forward to seeing him down here. He'll be an attraction for the Sydney Carnival, no doubt. Ryan Moore coming to Sydney to ride over the championships. So let's get to our guest, shall we, Bossy? And he's a good mate of yours, and he's a sportsman that I admire so much, given his vocation and what he does and how well he does it. Blake Shinn today, mate.
Yeah, Blake's just a wonderful person, and he's perfecting his craft. So I've been fortunate enough to be a part of that journey, and I'm really looking forward to sit down and tapping into that incredible brain that he has.
Well, here we go. Here's the interview with Blake Shinn, and it's fascinating with the two gentlemen to my right on the couch, in Glen Boss and Blake Shinn, with a chat about all things horse racing and, of course, with Who's the Boss here, a little bit about life. Blake Shinn, Master Jockey, thank you for joining us on Who's the Boss. How are things, mate?
Yeah, things are well. It's great to be here.
Now, you two know each other pretty well, correct?
Yeah, we go back a long way. Yeah, we do. We've got a great history together. Well, like Blake's an incredible talent. He's always been that talent. But, I gravitate, this is what happens, Adam, I gravitate towards people who, when they look back at their careers, they've basically extracted every bit of themselves to make, there's nothing that they can do better.
Yep.
Because they're striving to be better all the time.
Got the most out of that
talent. Yeah, these are the people I gravitate towards. People who've got talent but pissed up against the wall. I try and help them people, but you eventually, inevitably, you're gonna get disappointed, right? So I hang around the people, or I gravitate towards people who extract everything out of themselves to get the best possible result with their genre that they're doing. And this is what this bloke is. He just never stops. asking questions. He never stops trying to improve. So it's been a work in progress the whole time, you know what I mean? And it's still ongoing. So this is why we had this relationship, because I like that. And I get more of a thrill out of watching Blake win races than I did when I was riding, basically, because,
Yeah, thanks,
you know what I
mate.
mean? But you do, you have that relationship. So I'm home, cheering him home on a Saturday when he's riding a winner, or jumping off the couch when he rides a Group 1, because I get an absolute buzz out of it.
So, Blake, take us back to when you first crossed paths with the bloke to your right now. Where was the Jockeys room?
Oh, geez, it was probably in Sydney. I've been riding since 2003, so I'd say it's been 20 years relationship, and it's just evolved and got stronger. And Glen has obviously been someone that I've looked up to. He's a legend in the jockey ranks, and nearly all the young kids growing up aspire to be someone like Bossy. And as he said, like, we've just connected and relationships got stronger. So it's nice. It's nice to have someone like him in my corner.
Was he quiet in the Jockeys room?
On the big days, yeah, he's pretty focused.
Was he?
Absolutely, yeah. He was laser focused, very switched on. I remember I haven't told him this. I remember one day when he actually had hair back this day. It was a day he come back from Singapore. He rode Brutal.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
remember
yeah,
the day?
brutal. Yeah, yeah. He had 50 kilos.
In the Epsom?
No, the Doncaster.
Doncaster. I remember the day. Like, just, when you little thoughts. And I remember he walks into the bathroom, gets into the mirror, and he glances at himself, and just little things that you take notice of, like the greats in sport and that. And just remember that day where he rode Brutal, and he ended up, winning that race on that horse, and just his focus and, preparation to that job was admirable. And just things like that stick in your mind.
You probably had to go without food for the
Yeah,
previous day or two to
well,
get yourself right for something like that.
Yeah, it was brutal. Talk about brutal. It was brutal because I rode Friday night in Singapore and had to come over here, and he had 50 kilos, I think, or 49 and a half. And I remember I only had the one ride, and I always had the sweat going on, and I was running laps of the inner track to try and lose that last sort of kilo. And what Blake said, like when I walk into the bathrooms, it was always one of my rituals before a kind of a major race, and the Doncaster is one of their majors. I'd walk in there and give myself a little bit of a pep talk, and that was my trigger. I'd walk in there and say, "Okay, Bossy, you know you're the best. You know you can trust yourself to do the job. You know you've got the right horse, and you know you can execute." And then I'd say my last thing I'd say to myself, "Now relax," and that would be my trigger. And then I just go out there and that was the thing that got me. That's how I got myself into a spot. You know what I mean?
Now, you ride all over the place. You are dead set. You catch planes, trains, drive everywhere. Victoria, you're here, there and everywhere, which you can do in Victoria. It's a bit easier down there with the geographical locations of tracks. But do you have a ritual? Do you have something that no matter what you're doing, how you're getting to the races, what standard of meeting it is, that, I've got to do this?
Not necessarily, but like I guess, I guess I do. I like to get up. There's you do a bit of training. You get your body in a state where you're nice and supple. You're stretching. You go through a bit of a routine. You're doing all the little 1%ers so that you make sure I do my form. I guess my ritual is I make sure I study as thoroughly as I can so that I'm across, everything. That if something comes before me that I haven't prepared for, then I'll get upset at myself. So I really go across everything and dot my I's, cross my T's. So I think that's probably the main ritual, or just part of my preparation that I ensure that I do.
So you'll sit in your office the night before you're about to ride, or that morning, and then just go zone in. Okay, this race, I've got 5 races today at Seymour or whatever. You know everything about every horse.
Some jockeys have form analysts and that, and I don't have that. I do all the horse research, every other horse in the race, and make sure you rail patterns, just track biases. You're trying to get across everything so that nothing out of the ordinary is coming, past you. But that happens every race, no matter if it's country or Group 1 meeting.
Yeah, it's about time management. And the thing is, Adam and Blake, we've spoke about this. You don't want to be at the races making decisions. You've already made the decision. So when you go to the races, that you're freewheeling a bit,
Yes.
And don't worry, because we spoke about this, that our sport is littered with imperfections. There's so many variables that can go right or wrong. So if you're across it all, you're not going to be shocked by anything that happens. So you can, and when the barriers open, you are ad-libbing straight away anyway. But you'll have a pattern. But as soon as the barriers open, I'd say 1 out of 10 would go perfect to script.
Yeah.
So you're ad-libbing the whole time. And this is what preparation, if you do the prep properly, you're not going to be shocked by any scenario that's thrown out at you because you just adapt straight away. And that's what separates the greats from the goods, because the good jockeys can't adapt to any situation because they're locked into some sort of pattern that they expect, where the great jockeys, you don't see them get flustered by any situation. They're just doing it because they've already had this, they've already worked it out in their head very quickly.
So the preparation, there's one story in particular that rings true about that in terms of preparation, and then you've basically done your prep on a big race back in 2008 with Sebring. Unfortunately, the headmaster's got you in trouble and put you in detention, so you couldn't ride the horse. But old mate gets off the plane from Hong Kong over here. You basically handed over the preparation to ride Sebring in a golden slipper. Tell us about that.
Yes, well, I did all the work on that horse. I was stable rider for Gay Waterhouse at the time. Fell in love with the horse. As I said, did all the work on him, his preparation, track work, trials, everything. We thought he was a superstar in the making. He wasn't a ready-made 2-year-old, as a lot of natural 2-year-olds are, but we had to sort of make him. He won his first start in the Canterbury, did a lot wrong, then won his next start. And obviously went into the slipper, was favourite, but 9 days out I got a suspension, appealed it, lost that, and fortunately for Bossy, he picked up the ride. Look, it was hard for me because it was the first time, I think my ride in the slipper, going to be my ride in the slipper, a horse that I dearly loved for Gay. So it was tough, but that's part and parcel of the game. You've got to deal with that. But look, Bossy done a great job. He won on that horse. The ride come straight back to me, but fortunately we've been able to win 2 since.
That was the terms and conditions, was it? As
yes,
long as I get the ride back?
absolutely.
like that's it. But our relationship is stronger than that, because Blake rang me. I arrived on Friday, and Blake spent best part of 40 minutes on the phone to me, telling me every idiosyncrasy that this colt has. Because, like he said, he wasn't a natural 2-year-old. You had to help him along a bit, and Blake spent a long time on the phone explaining to me everything about this colt, and everything he told me was spot on. So, some jockeys would not do that because they're hoping that you get beat because I'm going to be back on the horse next start. Regardless of what the event is, a lot of them will have that. I'm not going to tell him anything. He's going to have to work it out for himself, and he gets beat. Well, him, he hasn't done the work. You know what I mean? We're like, the opposite. He's spent all that time with me to making sure that I knew everything about him.
So, Blake, what was the sling from Bossy? A box of Cadbury favourites or something? Or what was it?
Well, I think he's paid me back in return with his advice and that in the long run. But at the time, I don't think there was much there. I think I might have just got a thank you or something.
I flew straight back to Hong Kong,
he gave me a bit of love.
Let him back on. You won a few more races.
That's correct.
Yeah, he won the Triple Crown, didn't he?
No, he got beat in the Champagne.
That's right, he got beat in Champagne.
Samantha
Got ran
Miss.
second, yeah.
We've got champagne later, by the way. I haven't forgotten it this episode, but we're just going to do it at the end, the toast, the tradition here on Who's the Boss. What about copying instructions from Bart Cummings and then winning a Melbourne Cup for him? What was that experience like back with Viewed?
Look, fond memories. It's a great experience riding for someone like Bart. Very interesting man. He didn't say too much. He kind of left it to like Reg Fleming, the assistants, and he would kind of tell them what he would like the message to the jockeys to be riding out in the race. But what he said to me was, asked me my thoughts, and then he said, "Righto, go out and enjoy yourself, son." And he had belief in the horse could win. And he was a man of few words, but that's what I remember. He said, "Go out and enjoy yourself, son." And I was only young at the time, about 20. And we did. We enjoyed ourselves. We had a great run and managed to win the Melbourne Cup. His last one, but it's pretty special.
Yeah. Did you get a thank you off him like you did off Bossy for Sebring?
Yes, he did. As I said, he wasn't a man of few words. He was a man of few words, but definitely got a thank you.
Can I ask you how is your sphincter the last 20 metres? Because, because I'm telling you, when you expose yourself and you're a long way, you're in front at Flemington Straight. It's regardless of the distance, it's a long way from home.
Absolutely.
You feel like you're in the abyss and you're waiting for something to come. And Corey nearly beat you,
yes.
right? So you must have been thinking,
Yeah.
oh my God. Then because you're willing that winning post to come to you, you know what I mean?
I could see him coming in the your corner of your eye, and you could see the post coming, and you're trying to marry it all up, and you're just not sure when you hit the line. Racing gods were with me. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
As you know, the racing gods. Thank God.
How good. And as a young bloke winning a Melbourne Cup, did you go home and do the form for Toorak the next day? Or did you go out?
I went out that night. It was a good celebration with my manager and friends and family. Definitely sabred that one for sure.
Did you, I know you're a great studier of the game and the moments. Did you have a feeling of the actual impact after winning that Melbourne Cup, what it done for your life? Did you feel the tsunami of this has changed my life?
Yes, I did. Didn't realise that. Well, you certainly don't realise it beforehand, but when it happens, it's like, what's just really happened. And I probably, as you get older, you appreciate the bigger wins and realise what you've achieved. When you're young, you think you're a bit invincible, and we ran into a bit of trouble after that. But I think it's all them things are part of the journey and makes you appreciate all the bigger wins now because, as you know, they're harder to come by.
Yeah, you'll have to go out and then I know you will. You'll win a second one and probably a third, but then you'll really get a sense when you win your second one.
And I think you'd realise the magnitude of the Melbourne Cup. You know, you realise where we are and you kind of appreciate the level that we are, and competing at that great level.
100%.
Because when you're there, you're just kind of doing your job. But I think now, as I'm getting older, like I'm 37, you kind of appreciate the moment where we are and the level that we're riding at.
So you mentioned at the top there that 37, you got into the Jockeys room when you were 2003.
Yep.
So you should still be at school full time, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you get going and you have moments like this, but then obviously it's not like that, is it? There's ups and there's downs, and you've had some downs, you've had some enormous ups as well. How do you get through as a young bloke learning about not so much your game and your vocation, but life as well? So it can kick you in the nuts a couple of times, and how you respond, I'm not sure. How do you get back to it to find that level of maturity, which you've obviously settled into a pretty good groove with these days? Yeah,
look, I just think I think from the time I was young, like little kid, I always wanted to be, a great jockey. And my vision has never, never sort of wavered from trying to be the best that I can be, an elite jockey. Sometimes things have got in the way of that, but that's just put me back on the road to just stay true. And it's and that's just happens, part of life, and getting mature, and like I said, that just happens, part of your journey. And I think when a little blip happens, righto, Blake, that's a sign, get back on track, keep going forward. And that's just the way I've kind of looked at everything.
Yeah, it's tougher.
It's a ruthless game, isn't it?
Well, it's tougher for us, right? I mean, if you're any sportsman, athlete, anyone who has a misdemeanor in public, not in public life, it's just, it just happens. But we do it in the public domain, so there's all sorts of noise around you. So you've just got to. And Blake's really, that's one thing I'm very proud of. He's managed, because he's got a very good team around him, and he's always had that team, so he can go back and rely on that team to help him through those moments, because there's shit moments, Blake.
Absolutely.
You know, you got the betting thing, right? And that can spiral you out of control a little bit, because there's a lot of noise going around about you. So you can go back to that team, and they'll put you in not cocoon you, but they'll hold you together, and knowing that, and then you start being true to yourself, because you know that you're a great athlete, you're a great jockey, and like exactly what you said, that just puts you back on that path even stronger, because you don't want to be that person, you want to be that. So and sometimes you need those life lessons to put you back on that path even stronger, because if you don't have it, James McDonald's another example. You got that, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Without that, he wouldn't have been that. You need these things.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, we are we are who we are, like as individuals, and you make a mistake. I think you keep coming back to your true self, and I think if you're a decent enough person, you're gonna find the right path in life.
I want to know how you guys kind of unwind, and you ride a lot. Like, you're here, there, and everywhere, especially in Victoria. But how do you walk off a racetrack? Usually, as a punter, you go on a racetrack, and if you have a good day, you've got a fair bit of adrenaline about you, and you want to take on the night and all that. You guys, 8 times a day, you are literally riding a piece of horse flesh, which must feel like a Formula One car sometimes. So that adrenaline kick is massive, and I know it's second nature to you. But do you walk off a racetrack full of adrenaline, or you completely drained? How do you keep on then backing up to keep on doing it, or is that like asking me, how do you get in your car and drive? It's just second nature.
I'm not sure how Bossy will answer this. With my job, you just, as much as I love it, you kind of treat it like it's work. It's just business, and you're going to work, do your job, and then focusing on the next job at hand.
Yeah.
And that's the way I kind of look at it. I try to take the emotion out of it.
Can you take the adrenaline away, though, from what you do?
Yeah, day in, day out I can.
Yeah.
But you win a big race, like I won recently the NZB Kiwi on Damas Rose. Well, that was a big adrenaline. I got a massive buzz out of that. Well, that holds with you for at least a week or so.
Yeah.
Pretty special. But week in, week out, because our job's relying on results, and if I do my job correctly and get the results, I'm pretty satisfied, and then I can just keep going forward to the next day.
I was the opposite. Yeah, I was, and Blake knows me. I was a very emotional kind of person, so I was a junkie for the high moments, and they would stay with me for quite a long time. I was addicted to the rush of riding a fast horse. That was, especially in the big moments, So, I was very different to Blake in that respect. Very emotional. When things were going bad, they'd go real bad. You know what I mean? When things were going great, they'd be through the roof. Where Blake's kind of got now that, I wouldn't say you're flatline, but you've just got that. You're more stable.
And I've had to work on that, and I think it's just important for me to try and find that balance of just being level. Yeah. Level through
the good and the bad.
Yeah, the good and the bad.
Because you have to be during a race, I am guessing. I have never, and I dare say 99.9% of the population will never, like me, ride a horse at 60 k's an hour with 10 other horses around us going at 60 k's an hour and try and be the first one to a post. So the decision making that goes into that, how you go about it, your style, your technique, how long does that take to narrow down into a path where you can rely on it so much?
Well, I still, at 37, I still think I'm refining it, which is interesting to say, but, you're just looking to keep getting better. It's probably like a golfer. You're working on their swing and stuff like that. I'm still working on the style, technique. I don't think I'll ever be satisfied with exactly where I'm at on a horse. I think I'll always be looking to just get a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. Seriously, we can easily bag you when you're when it looks like you've
Yeah.
you've butchered one. But taking all those things again, the jockey cam has changed it, I reckon, for punters. Just to have an appreciation of what the hell is going on out there, which is just so far removed from normality.
We're going to have this technology, Adam, I jump in there. They're going to have this technology which we're working on where they've got these cameras and they're two 180s and they put them together so you get the 360 view.
Oh, wow.
So soon enough, you'll be able to put the AI goggles on and you'll be in the barriers sitting next to Blake in a Melbourne Cup and you'll be able to look around and you'll get the full experience.
Yeah, wow.
They're working on this now. It'll blow people's minds because when we ride, we can touch each other. We can talk like we are talking now because the noise basically just fades out a bit.
Yeah.
So
is there much shit talk that goes on?
Well, there's a lot of safety talk, because someone might be in your peripheral vision, which you probably can't see, but Blake can see. So I'll be shifting and say, Blake will say, well, hang on, I've got one inside me. Just give us a second. You know what I mean? So it's kind of more that kind of stuff.
Is there a blind spot like there is in a car in the
Well,
rear vision mirror?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think I relate to a lot of stuff like driving a car to riding in a race. It's not too dissimilar, but just at a lot, say, higher speed. And, it's quite similar where you're just wanting to shift lanes and, you've got to look and you've got to use your instincts and peripheral vision and, you've got to be certainly really aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
And Blake's worked on that
Absolutely.
a lot in the last 2 years, and I reckon he's just improved 1,000%.
So how can you see it?
Well,
Like-
it's just having a general awareness of where you are and what's going on around you, instead of just being locked in and a bit tunnel. You've got to have a sense of what's going on around you all the time. I think Blake was a little bit anxious a couple of years ago, forcing issues to the point where you actually nearly brought yourself
Yeah, I
down,
did.
right? So there was that thing is just say the runs will come if you're just prepared to just chill. The runs always come, don't they? I mean, I'm talking 1 out of 50, you might not get the run.
Yeah.
Big deal. But the rest of the time they do come. If you're patient, and if you're more patient than everyone around you, you'll get the run. And that's what Blake's got that now. He's just got an incredible rhythm. Now the horses, you watch Blake ride a horse now, and you'll watch them go from first to second to third to fourth to fifth. You know what I mean? They all come through their gears in a very smooth manner. It's not like first to flat out. It's beautiful to watch him. Honestly, and arguably on form, he's the best rider in Australia right now. I'm telling you. On current form, he is the best rider in Australia right now. No, I'm telling you. Like as I
I'm
tell
just
it.
about to give a shout out to James McDonald
No,
here,
but no,
yeah.
I'm telling you. No, there is. He is the best jockey on form in Australia right now.
There you go.
Thanks, man.
That's a little bit of confidence for you before the weekend. Hey, I've got to make mention then of making decisions in the right time. I put it as the ride of the spring. I think we sat here and said the same thing, didn't we, Bossy, about Antino and the Toorak at Caulfield. So not the biggest Group 1 of the Melbourne Spring Carnival, but still a Group 1 and really important for Tony Gollan and this horse as well. You made a decision in that race which basically, if it didn't come off, you look like an absolute goose coming back to scale, but you win by 5, 6 or whatever like that. Take us through that decision-making process to do that. Preordained or literally just judging it out there and then making a decision in the heat of the moment?
Yeah, look, it was just judging it in the moment. Interesting track, the way that Caulfield on that day played. Very hard to make ground and win. No, impossible, actually. So you're thinking about ways how you can get into the race, what you can do, but you need the right scenario to be able to do it. Now, fortunately, in Antino, he was always slow out, but they went quick enough early, and then there was just one point of the race down that side where that was it. I only had half a second, not even, to think about what am I going to do. And when the opportunity went, I just trusted myself. Yeah, instinct. Just trust yourself, come out. I knew the horse, by doing the form and riding him, he can make a 700-metre run. So when I felt the pace back off, you know, and it's interesting when you feel the pace back off, you either grab hold of your horse or you come out a horse wider and just go with him. And I had that. It was an instinctual decision to either what do I do, and I felt at the time this is what I got to do.
So it's based on what you were saying before. You do all the prep, you get every scenario in your head, and then you act upon those possibilities out there.
But Adam, he'd been doing this midweeks at Sandown.
Yeah.
Bendigo.
Yeah.
He'd been doing this. Blake had been doing this a lot.
Yeah.
Off Broadway.
Of course, off Broadway. So what he did wasn't a shock to himself. It was a shock to everyone. But if you watch his bloke, like I watch him everywhere rides, he'd been doing this for ages. So it wasn't a big deal. He just went with what he felt, and which he does all the time.
Yeah, I remember when I rode a horse called Playa del Puente in a Hong Kong derby.
Yeah.
Got beat by Golden 60. I did the same,
Yeah.
and I just got run down on the line.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about viewed early and winning. I got beat by, nearly Hong Kong's
greatest horse.
Greatest horse.
Yeah,
But that was a very ride similar to Antino.
Very brave ride.
Did you ever do it in a race?
Oh, we did it all the time. You know, because I was taught by some of the greats, like the Jimmy Cassidys. And I've said this to Blake, the worst decision you make is the one you never make. You know, like the little things they tell you, like Shane Dye, the great tacticians. Don't come back in and say they went too slow for me. Some people don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
They want to hear that, listen, they walked, I've come out, I've done something about it, I've grabbed that race by the scruff of the neck. Okay, it didn't work out, but at least I had something to do. I did something.
Yeah.
Don't come in and say, oh, listen, the pattern of the race didn't suit your horse today. They went too slow. I wish they went faster. That's a answer. That's an answer from a jockey who has got no idea. They want to hear someone like that, who's brave enough to, even if it doesn't come off, because they're not going to always come off. You've just got to be brave enough and fall on your sword sometimes and be able to do it.
And that's what I pride myself on. Like I trust myself that I do the homework, and I'll prepare to put my balls on the line to win a race for my owners and trainers. And I feel the trainers and the owners believe in me enough to trust me to ride that way.
Jeez, we nearly seen your balls one day too.
Well, see me out.
At Canterbury, that
Oh,
balls.
God. Why'd
So-
you have to bring that up?
Many a punter has walked off a racetrack with their ass hanging out, figuratively and sometimes literally. You did it in a race. Like no one can top that. Like, what on earth happened? How did you dack yourself crossing the line one day?
We had Velcro instead of like a belt and a buckle. The
They're
pants
light
were,
pants, they're featherweights.
yeah, the horse had 55 kilos, cutting weight, shredding for the horse. And the Velcro come undone. And then, just through getting in that crouching position, they just
Gave way.
gave way.
It's a good look.
Oops.
Because we only wear like women's pantyhose underneath because they're super light because you can't afford to have any weight on you. So, all the world's seen it then.
Anyone slide into your DMs and say nice ass?
Plenty. Plenty, yeah.
What did you do next time to your pants to make sure that?
Yeah, we got them. We made sure we added like a button, not the Velcro. Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing that's happened to you on horseback? Don't go too far here, by the way. We're not that we're not that far removed from PG.
Yeah, correct. This is probably the 10 p.m. slot. There's been some funny things, but not like that. But that was pretty good. I never pissed myself. I was sitting in the lounge room and just like, have a look at it. Yeah.
What can you do? At least you're known more, though, for riding 30 Group 1s and 2,000 winners and being a punter's pal by getting your horse home.
Well, I don't know. If you ask someone generally down the street who doesn't follow racing, they'd be like, "Did you see that bloke who rode?"
That you're him.
Yeah.
They go, hang on. They look at your ass and go, oh,
That's
you're
right.
the one.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Hong Kong, how was that experience for you?
Look, it was a great experience. Very, very challenging through COVID.
Yeah.
I was living there on my own. Really tough. Like I went there the first season, struggled to ride winners. I ran 42 seconds and 15 winners, like 42 seconds. It was really tough. Just trying to work out the whole dynamics of the place, what works, what doesn't. I wasn't one that rode lightweights. I only rode 55 kilos, so that was hard to get the quality rides. And when you get the quality rides, you got to make the most of them. And I kept running second. And then Hong Kong's all about luck, superstitious. So when I went into the second season, I wasn't getting the rides that I got the first season, but I had more of an idea of what to do. So I was able to capitalise and had a bit better year. And then I went into the third season and did quite well. Won a few Group 1s, got on a good horse in Russian Emperor, won an international sprint on Skyfield. And look, I could have stayed longer, but I just felt living in Hong Kong on my own with COVID in a really tough time for, a lot of people. I just thought there was more to life than riding in Hong Kong. So I decided to come home to Australia and, be where I wanted to live and, live life how I wanted to live. But Hong Kong will always hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah, some people thrive there. I mean, the most classic example, I reckon, from an Australian perspective is John Size, who's gone over there and just become a king over there. But Bossy, you had a similar experience as well. You just found that, back here you were missing out on bits and pieces. Nothing against Hong Kong.
No, God no. I went there in 2007 and I was literally going to go there and ride my last 10 years out, right? And make a shitload of money and do all that because I'd kind of done what I wanted to do in Australia. But unfortunately that year I come back and rode Sebring and I come back and won the Doncaster on Triple Honour. So when I went back to Hong Kong, I was like, what am I doing here? Because like I said before, my hit was riding good horses and fast horses in big races. Yeah. That was my hit. Hong Kong wasn't giving me that thrill. So I did, and I ran fourth in the premiership that year and decided, well, no, it's not for me. Because I wasn't driven by money. Money will come if you ride the big winners.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not driven by money. So that wasn't my God. So I wasn't going to get those dopamine hits in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I can only get it back out of Australia. So I decided to come home.
Blake, some quick fire questions to round us out here before we have our toast. But you're an athlete. You probably just hold the cup and not have a drink, but that's up to you. Best trainer in terms of tactical info for a jockey?
Best trainer with tactical info.
Or you don't listen to any of them, you do your own form.
In terms of...
someone who will stand there in the mounting yard and tell you something that you don't already know.
James Cummings, maybe?
James Cummings is very good because he's obviously got...
Dominic Byrne.
Yeah, Dominic Byrne.
To help out.
We were both privileged to ride, and he's the greatest trainer I've ever ridden for. And everyone asked me who was the greatest trainer you ever rode for, and we both had the privilege to ride for him. Unfortunately, he passed away at an age which he shouldn't have. But Guy Walter was the best horse person trainer I've ever ridden for.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. Not by a big margin, but I just loved being around him, just asking him questions. What is your thought process? What are you doing with this horse? And he'd go, well, Bossy. He'd take 10 minutes to tell you a minute story, but that's the way he walked and talked, and that's the way his horses were. Yeah. Incredible horse person.
Yeah, one of the best, and one of the best men and mentors I've had in my whole life.
Most ruthless competitor out there?
Ruthless competitor. Look, there's a few, but you know what? I admire them. Like, in his time, Nash, great competitor. Darren Beedman, wouldn't give you an inch. Now James McDonald, who we're riding against.
So you're literally there hanging on to yours, and you look outside and you go, oh shit, he's not going to be friendly to me here. I'm not getting out here. Or
things
I'm
like
that. To think of an alternative.
There's time. Yes, you just know. I guess when they're riding like odds-on favourites all the time, and that they ride more to percentages, stay one off the fence. Ride that percentage race all the time. So if you're outside them looking for a position, you're going to have to work them to get to the rail. Or if they're outside you, they're going to be difficult to get out of the way. And I remember Beedman was the same. McDonald's rides a similar race to Darren. It's interesting. They keep you sharp, and they're great to ride against, but I'd say they're the two.
And last one, what's your reward after a big race win? Please tell me you have one.
Cigar.
Yeah. A cigar?
I love a cigar, yeah.
No way.
I love a cigar. Yeah, that's one of my things that I can just have nice downtime, relax, have a cigar.
It's not going to put weight on, is it?
Doesn't put weight on.
We're going to have one tonight.
Yeah, we might definitely.
We'll have one tonight,
yes.
yeah.
You can have about 20 by the look of you. You're pretty keen.
No, but yeah.
What was your big race win reward?
Oh, just celebrating a meal with mates. You know, like that would be the thing for me.
Especially if you're riding at 50 kilos.
Yeah, no, I never had a ritual thing.
No.
Though. I just love getting out, you know.
The
And,
cigar is yours.
yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Great that. Well, before we go, we've got to raise a toast to
Hang
our
on.
guest. There's none in here.
Down here.
Now, like you don't know.
You got to have a little sip out.
I'll have a sip, mate.
There's some in this one
is
already.
Yours. Blakey, this is yours. Champion.
That one has got
That's-
dregs in it, so that's
that's-
Bossy's because
that's
he's
mine.
already ripped
Right.
into, had a little sip.
Blakey's
But,
got his own, so I'm pretty confident he's had a drink.
You have a
Want
sip?
that?
Oh, I've got some in here, yeah.
Cheers, Blakey.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Great
Thanks
to be
for
here,
coming
guys.
on.
To winning
Thanks,
Melbourne Cups.
Thanks,
Cheers.
mate.
Which two of the three of us have. Well done.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
That was Who's the Boss? Blake Shinn.
Thank you.
Bossy, that for me, not being a jockey and probably about 40 kilos too heavy to ever consider getting on the back of a horse and riding in a race, that was fascinating, mate, to hear the mindset of a guy who obviously thinks a lot about what he does for a job.
Yeah, didn't I warned you before it, didn't I? I said, you're going to meet someone so intense and, really trying to perfect his craft in every possible way. He's a very measured guy and a very deep thinker. So, and he just lives and breathes his genre. He's so into what he does. So, he's one of them guys he's going to leave no stone unturned to get to where he wants to be, and he wants to be the best.
Yeah. Now, last week at Rose Hill, in that Golden Slipper, I found it interesting. We did that interview, obviously, before the Golden Slipper, but the three that ran top three, so you've got Blake Shinn on Tempted, you've got James McDonald nearly getting the win on Woderton, and you've got the winner, Damien Lane, with what a ride that was. So the three jockeys at the absolute top of their game, and Channel 7 put out the chopper shot on social media after the race, obviously. That, for me, was fascinating because you had Damien Lane three back the fence, and you said it. You said near the fence is going to pay off in a Golden Slipper. Damien Lane three back. Behind him was Blake Shinn, and behind him was James McDonald, and they all had options, and the chopper shot shows it all. Take us through the mindset of a jockey, because we got a good view of it in that particular example. Yeah,
it's incredible. These chopper shots or drone shots sometimes really gives people at home in the lounge an insight to how we ride. It's like a game of chess out there, and how close we ride to the proximity to the horse in front of us. Like, we're basically riding on this very fine line the whole time. We're inches away from the feet from the horse in front of us to the feet from the horse in front, like our horse. So, and the maneuvering that we have to do, you got horses dropping off, and then you'll be looking in and zeroing in on that spot when they drop off, as Damien Lane did. But Damien Lane's race he was so brilliant. Where he won the race was his first furlong. He drove out and took that spot and got into the fence. And then he just kind of had to just sit there and relax. And then when you seen one drop off very quickly, he just zeroed in that spot. And that was another winning move. And obviously, James was at his brilliant best back behind Blake. And he kind of got Blake's spot before Blake did. But Blake was sort of committed to the inside at that point. So you can see there's so many variables that go on, and it makes for interesting viewing.
With it on review, does a jockey look back at that? And obviously Blake was disappointed not to get the ultimate prize, and James very disappointed as well. But does a jockey go back and have a look at that shot to review their own performance, or do they just have to get on with life and not worry about it? It's happened.
Yeah, definitely. The boys that we've got privy to that shot not long after. They'll show it in the jockeys room. They'll have multiple shots for us, But to be very fair, the first three, I spoke to Blake that night. Every possible chance, he was slightly held up, but he still had his chance to come out, and if it was good enough, because he conserved a lot of energy throughout the race, as did the winner and the second horse. So they basically had every possible chance to win. I thought Blake's filly, and I was very interested to see her on the day. She played up terribly on the day. She wasn't quite as relaxed as she should have done as she was in previous starts. So she maybe went over the top. And when he come out and asked her for an effort, she'd give a kick, but I was interested in her last 20 metres. She was sort of just only holding her spot where Woterton was actually coming through the line. I thought he was the run of the race.
Yeah, it was an outstanding race, and again, that visual from above was fantastic. And yeah, the horses on the inside of the track, the odd one played up, and there was a few colts and fillies playing up on the other side of the fence. But we won't get into that, will we? No. We will mention, though, the function that you were at, Bossy. A shout-out to the crew at IP Events. So check them out, ipevents.com.au. For all your big sport, get hold of these guys and book yourself a table, a couple of seats, 100 seats if that's your go. Yep. At these big events coming up. So the Golden Slipper last weekend, they had a crew there, and it was a great function at Rose Hill. And you've got British and Irish Lions, you've got State of Origin later in the year, Melbourne Cup. It was a good day out there, Bossy.
Yeah, it was a great day. We're in such a great spot. We're virtually on the winning post or just past the winning post. You can watch you can go down and watch the horses parade. Mate, the room was great. It was nice and cool, and everyone was dressed up and having an absolute ball. So, and there was a host of celebrities walking around. So, get in early for next year, because Golden Slipper Day is such a wonderful day to be at.
And hopefully, a few listeners went to the track on the weekend on Who's the Boss and got involved with IP Events and listened to Glen Munsey, because he actually tipped Mahuna, didn't he? He liked it at decent odds. So hopefully there was a bit of a fill-up for those there in the function.
Yeah, he gave a great push, and he gave a real insight why he gave a great push. So we basically tipped the first three home, to be very honest. But well done to Muns. I was so interested to hear him, because he's such a great analyst of our sport.
Well, now it's time for you to be the analyst for the coming races this weekend. Group 1s again across Sydney and Melbourne. Let's get into it. Bossy's best. So, Bossy, we're going to start in Sydney. The Vinery Stud Stakes, 2,000 metres, 3-year-old fillies. There's a standout here, Treasure the Moment. She's got the picket fence form line next to her. Damien Lane, a guy in form. Can you see her getting beaten in this Group 1?
No, I can't really see her getting beat. She's a dominant 3-year-old filly. She's won the VRC Oaks. She's come up here and just continued that form. It's her race to lose. You're going to take very skinny odds about her, but if you parlay her up into something else, I think that's the way to go about it. But she'll start short and just assert her dominance. To be very honest, there's not much in this race that can beat her.
Yeah, so Rose Hill, though, could throw a few tricks on Saturday because it is meant to dump down in Sydney because, hey, it's March and April. It's around Easter time. That's what happens in Sydney. It rains. So what's Rose Hill like when it gets a little choppy and a bit of rain falls after it's had a bit of use, obviously, over the last month?
Yeah, traditionally it can turn into they'll end up coming down the middle of the track and generally start swooping. As you see on Slipper Day, it could be on pace. When you got a rail true and it's a bit quicker, it generally suits horses on speed or on the rail. But as soon as you get wet, because there's a camber on that track, the water starts running from the middle to the inside. So it drains quicker in the middle as it goes that way. And it turns into horses coming down the middle and swooping. So
expert advice there from G Boss about what to look out for as that day goes on and if the rain falls.
Yep.
And the feature is the Group 1 Tancred Stakes over 2,400 metres, a race that you've won, obviously, on the great mare, Makybe Diva. We'll get to another race that she won. It's just the Makybe Diva show, this basically, sometimes. But so you've got Dubai Honour. So William Haggis has brought out another one. It's the favourite as we sit here right now and record Who's the Boss.
Yep.
Vauban, who is the horse that came out with Rich Ritchie, the flamboyant owner for the last 2 Melbourne Cups, couldn't get a result. They sold it, and Gay Waterhouse, Adrian Bott now trains. You tipped it first up, Bossy, got it at $8. It's half that price for this one. And then down the bottom, you've identified one as well, which is the intrigue in the race, number 14, River of Stars. How do you see the Tancred?
Yeah, and don't forget our reigning Caulfield Cup winner, Duke de Sasa.
Yep.
He's returned with a really big run. He won first up. He won the JRA Plate first up, and then ran second in a really good Australian Cup prelude. So he's the horse who's looking for the 1.5 miles. So don't forget him as well. But I'm really interested to see this race. Verban, can he back up what he done first up? I believe he can, because as he gets further into his preparation and further into distance, up in distance, he excels. And this really interesting runner, this Yulonga, and buying all these great imports. And this could be another one, River of Stars, trained by Chris Waller, ridden by J Mac, brings some impeccable French form. So for mine, this is probably going to be the race of the day, because there's so much intrigue. Obviously, we've got the Australian Cup, but this one for mine is the race of the day.
So how does Chris Waller get a horse first up over 1.5 miles, 2,400 metres, to perform in a Group 1? I know they train like this in Europe, but it's different out here. So how does this master of the art get a horse like this ready to compete and maybe win this race?
It's very simple. If you're a specialist 1,500 metre runner, you're not going to be competitive over 400 metres ever, are you? So what you do, and what the Europeans do, and what the Australians are starting to learn, is you run them at their pet distance all the time, or thereabouts. So what we traditionally have done in Australia, we run them over 1,400. I'm talking 1.5 mile horse. Then we run them over 1 mile, which are 2 wasted runs basically to get them fit. But what you should be doing is getting them fit and then run them at their best distance, because they're not competitive over shorter distances. So we're starting to it took us a long time, but we're starting to get better at it in Australia. And this is what you do. And they bring them over here. They've got a very good base of fitness generally when they get here. And all you have to do is just tick them over, and you run them over their pet distance.
Righto, Bossy. So be definitive in this. Dubai Honour, the favourite. Vauban, the ex-import. Duke de Sessa, the Caulfield Cup winner. Or River of Stars? Which way are you going?
Duke de Sessa. I think he's a wonderful racehorse. His form's impeccable. Like I said, he's reigning Caulfield Cup winner. I think he can win.
So, Bossy, down at Flemington, we've got the Australian Cup, the Group 1 over 2,000 metres. It's a great race in prospect every single year, and it's a real star power this year with Pride of Jenny. She's back racing, won first up. It was massive. It was fantastic. Great job by Kieran Ma. What do you make of this one, mate? Is it Pride of Jenny's race?
Yeah, it's Pride of Jenny's race. Australia needs Pride of Jenny racing. She's captured everyone's imagination. She's a genuine superstar. And if she wins the Australian Cup, she'll cement herself as one of the greats. Congratulations to Kieran Ma and his team. She had a bit of an indifferent preparation, and they've got her back, racing her at her best. It's her race to lose.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else how do you ride against her? It looks impossible. And hopefully we'll see her in Sydney as well over the carnival if things go well in this Australian Cup.
Well, that's the thing, Adam. She takes horses and other jockeys completely out of their comfort zone. And it's a very fine line. How close do I be with her? Because I'm using all that petrol too. But not many horses possess the aerobic capacity that this mare has. So she can do this where other horses can't. So they've got to try to find that happy medium where they can be close enough to her, but still have some petrol in the tank to try and get, and one thing, Adam, what you do is you can get to her, but then you've got to do the next thing is get past her. It's nearly impossible when she's in great form.
So she wins the Australian Cup, Pride of Jenny?
She wins the Australian Cup, and everyone will stand up and clap and cheer and just marvel this great athlete.
Brilliant, Bossy. It's a race you've won on Maccabi Diva, another one you've won on Maccabi Diva. But yeah, it's a fantastic race, and we're looking forward to seeing Pride of Jenny and the challengers maybe try and do the impossible. What you're saying, get past the Bossy. That's us for this week. Looking forward to next week. We'll keep it a secret, the guest, but it'll be a good one as well. Who's the boss? Loving it, mate. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Adam. Have a great weekend, mate, and look forward to seeing you next Thursday.
Can't wait. That was Who's the Boss. If you like our content, hit the like button somewhere down here.
And if you want to subscribe, right here.